is the former vice chair of the DNC Finance Committee. Michael Brown is back with us. He is a nationally syndicated radio talk show host on the Salem Radio Network, partner at the law firm Hewitt, Walensky. And Hugh Hewitt is back, and she is a writer for the Washington Times, water cooler blog. The one and only Kerry Pickett is here. Guys, good to see you. All right, so we got $3 trillion of Obama debt. We've got, if you add the underemployed, those that have given up looking for work, we're at 18%, nearly 20%, nearly 2 out of every 10 Americans. This is supposed to be recovery summer. Every indicator we have shows it's anything but. And here is, Joe Biden out there. This is what he says to Time magazine when he says, quote, this is a big chance to do, this is a chance to do something big, man. He wants more spending. Why don't we, what is the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same wrong thing over and over again, Hugh.
The big thing they could do is announce that they are going to extend the Bush tax cuts. The only thing they could do to put confidence back in this economy is extend the Bush tax cuts and immediately consider a reassessment of Obamacare, which is killing the hiring out there. It's Obamacare plus deficits plus these looming tax cuts, and there's nothing they can do between now and November to change that narrative. I don't care what Bob Beckel tells you or anybody else. The Democrats are doomed because those tax cuts people know are coming, and it's going to crush their wallet.
Michael, I mean, look, they promised unemployment would go above 8%. They never, when they were campaigning, they never said they'd incur these record deficits. They're out of touch with the American people on health care, deficits, spending, Arizona, mosque, every issue. And I'm just trying to figure out, are they not, is it not registering that they're not connecting with the American people and that there's a political tsunami building out there?
Well, I know you hate when I start with the excuse that he's still trying to recover. Absolutely. He's still trying to recover from the Bush years. But if you look at what most Americans are wondering is why the corporations are not rehiring. It is definitely a jobless recovery. People are concerned about the job.
Why?
Obviously,
why did their promises fail?
I think that's one of the things that President Obama has done. He started to ask corporate America, why aren't you hiring? You definitely got bailed out. You paid it. Some folks did pay it back. So why aren't you then hiring folks? And that's the challenge. It's not the president's.
It's not his fault?
No, absolutely not. He's still kind of recovering from what President Bush did to this country.
Look,
I know you hate that excuse, but that's still part of the fact.
We've got to stop this. Kerry, he begged. He went around the country for 2 years begging to be president. He's been president 19 months. At some point, he needs to man up, Michael. He needs to put his pants on.
Man up. He's trying to save the country from what you call an economic tsunami.
And stop blaming other people.
He's not blaming other people. Those are the facts.
This is absolute nonsense. Right now, you have the president and his allies who are going around talking about jobs created, jobs saved, and that's just simply an excuse to cover up the fact they're at 9.5% unemployment rate. Millions of people, if not 15 million people, are still looking for jobs right now, Sean. And frankly, this whole formula of jobs created, jobs saved is simply just another piece of fuzzy math just to show his own failures.
Yeah, when John Boehner went out and called for the resignation of the Secretary of the Treasury, Geithner, and Lawrence Summer, he did the right thing, because you can't fire the president, but whenever you run a ship aground in the Navy, you fire the captain. And these two guys came up with...
One Democrat called for the same thing,
Oh, I didn't.
Peliero.
No, yeah. You see, that's what needs to happen, because it's not really a theory. They're practicing placebo economics. They gave us this $850 billion, didn't do a thing. They gave us an alleged small business tax cut that they're trying to get through now. That's a placebo. The GM bailout was a placebo for Detroit. Anything they do is not designed to actually grow jobs. So when you say, Michael, where are the jobs, where's corporate America? Corporate America is not going to put the money out there in the capital knowing that Obamacare is going to crush them, knowing that their taxes are going up. If you want jobs, get those Bush tax cuts extended.
Well, answer that specifically, because I agree with you 100%. Why not send a message to business? We're not going to burden you with regulation. We're not going to burden you with Obamacare. We're not going to burden you with higher taxes, which we expect to go up by the end of the year. Small businesses are going to be impacted when the Bush tax cuts expire. Why not say, we feel your pain, to quote a phrase?
Well, frankly, if you look at the success story, and I think you called it a placebo in Detroit. I mean, not Chrysler, but certainly Ford and GM Ford too, have come. They're on their way back.
Ford didn't take any money.
No, I'm talking about coming back in general. That those particular industries and those car companies are coming back because of what the president did to make sure to try to level the playing field for folks. And yes, Michael, more jobs are going to come with that.
Give me $50 billion, I can start a car company.
Well,
Talk to me in 3 years. I'm from Warren, Ohio. It's a
hopefully
GM
in 3
town.
years will still be in recovery.
But that's a fake job. That's not a real job. It's $50 million.
I don't think you can say that to folks that got rehired in Detroit. That's not true.
It's not going to last. That's not what you build an economy on.
Ford never even took bailout money. And frankly, they actually pulled themselves up by the bootstraps. They actually had to do layoffs on their own. And they certainly didn't like doing that, but they had to make the tough decisions. And frankly, it was something that in the end did pay off.
Because of the president.
No, it wasn't because of the president.
Exactly what the president did.
With every economic indicator, and more economists, more than ever before, are either saying we're hitting a double-dip recession, and frankly, I'm getting a little nervous at the number of very bright, smart, economic economists out there that are saying we may be in a depression or headed towards one. And a lot of people saying the same thing that Hugh is saying. This is because you cannot have socialism and have a successful, thriving, job-creating economy. And the problem is they've nationalized just about everything they can.
Just like you get mad when I blame Bush. Every time you use the word socialism, like that's going to catch fire, like people really believe that. This president is not practicing any type of socialism at all.
A poll came out, 55% of the American people now believe that's an accurate description of the
anointed one. But there was another poll that asked folks to define what socialism was, and they couldn't define it.
Here's a poll to watch. When Rich Snyder wins the Michigan governorship, when John Kasich wins in Ohio, Bill Brady wins in Illinois, Tom Corbett wins in Pennsylvania, that's an utter repudiation of what you consider to be an economic breakthrough, Michael. The country knows. You guys can do these talking points all day long. I love having you on my show. All day long, the American people gets mad at you for not recognizing you killed the economy dead.
I think that Mayor Bloomberg in New York took this mosque issue to a really low level when he basically said people are un-American if you're disagreeing with him on it. Now, we do have an interesting CBS poll, if we can put it up on the screen here, and people are asking a pretty simple question: is building a mosque near ground zero appropriate? 71% said no. Only 22% said yes. The president, he's digging in his heels. Some Democrats, Howard Dean, Harry Reid, are now abandoning. What do you think, Karen?
Well, you know, here we have the majority of the American people, of course, are against having this mosque here, and it doesn't really surprise me. What I find fascinating, though, is that you have this cabbie who was attacked by this. It was horrible by this drunken man, and of course you have liberals who all of a sudden jumped on this story, thinking that this drunken man was a right winger, and they try to make this story out. Next, all of a sudden, the thing they know, this drunken man trying to be a left winger, and it really angers me to a certain extent that they're trying to engineer public opinion.
Well, there was a study, and I think it showed up in either the Times or the Inquirer, and if it was your paper, that showed, you know, the FBI keeps statistics on hate crimes, and I think it was close to 67% of hate crimes are against Jewish Americans in America, and about 7.7% against Muslim Americans. I am very concerned about any hate crime, including this cab driver, who, by the way, happened to also oppose the building of the mosque at Ground Zero. But I'm also very concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism, which raises the question, why wouldn't this imam spearheading this effort speak out against Hamas? Why did he speak out virtually in favor of Ahmadinejad? You know, I had E.J. Dionne of the Washington Post on my radio show this week to talk about this, and I played from some of the imams. Oh, yeah. You know, E.J. will go a few rounds with me. Good guy, but he's wrong. And we ran a few rounds on this. I played him the imam's statement in Australia. He wanted to hear context. You know, they never want to hear context when we get quoted out of context, Sean, but they want to hear context for this. Here's the bottom line. You're not Islamophobic to approach this. It's just wrong for the mayor to have done that. It's wrong for the president to have implied it. I oppose the Disney resort outside of Manassas. I think it was wrong to try and build a casino at Gettysburg. I thought it was wrong even to put a history museum at Valley Forge. The president needs to bring the temperature down on this. He needs to lead on this, Michael, because this is not Islamophobic. It's too late. I think he could step up and say to America, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. What bothers me is we're paying taxpayer dollars to send this controversial imam. You know, we're an accessory to 9/11. America should be Sharia compliant. Osama bin Laden's made in the USA. That America has more Muslim blood on its hand than Al-Qaeda does non-Muslims. Do those comments disturb you, Michael?
Well, the one thing that I think we all should be glad that there's no one is arguing that there isn't religious freedom here in the United States. That's a good thing. But also that poll, I don't know if that was just New Yorkers or if that was folks around the country.
That was CBS, and actually,
I bet it wasn't just
very
New
comparable to New York versus the country. Very comparable.
I haven't seen just a New Yorker poll, but I think we need to let folks that live here figure that out. Well, we have to let folks who live here figure that out. Clearly, Mayor Bloomberg, I imagine, has a pulse on the residents here in New York City, and he clearly has made his point about that.
It drives me crazy. I've been representing churches and religious schools for 20 years in land use disputes. And Rick Warren, Saddleback Valley Community Church, I represented him 20 years ago. He couldn't build the church where he first wanted to because of gnat catchers. No one claimed it was anti-Christian bias. It's just a land use issue. And that's what the president needs to do. And it's his job as the leader of the free world to stand up and tell the world, as Pete Wehner's argued in Commentary Magazine, we're not bigots. We're concerned about a cemetery, a hallowed place.
Well,